I went to the grand hall, knowing Seto would either be there expecting me or would arrive there shortly after. Nevertheless, I was ready to train again with him. What I didn't expect was seeing Seto and Diana in the room. I quickly ducked back around the corner and listened, not wanting to disturb them if they were talking.
That damn little... How dare she...
My lady, please, calm down.
Wait, what? What was going on?
No, Seto, it is not all right. That selfish brat had the nerve to...
Zaire, please. I'm all right, I swear.
Stop talking and let me finish.
Diana's harsh tone echoed through the hall, out of the doorway, before a soft sigh followed. I peered around the corner and watched as Diana ran her hand along Seto's cheek gingerly, tracing a mark on it with her fingers. Radiant purple light emanated from her hand as Diana glided it back and forth over Seto's skin. Seto, however, had a small smile painted over his lips as he watched her work.
Damn her to the deepest pits of hell.
You're being too harsh, my lady.
Buskaya is being a selfish brat, Seto. I saved her from dying, and this is how she repays me? Ungrateful little...
I didn't understand what was happening, but I could tell there was another woman involved. Someone named Buskaya. What was really odd was that Diana was acting strange. She was upset over something a girl did to Seto. It was kind of cute, but it was not what I expected from Diana.
You're being adorable right now.
Diana suddenly stopped moving and looked up at Seto in surprise. A large blush splashed across her cheeks. Seto, growing bolder, gently lifted a hand up between them and placed it under her chin, lifting her head slightly.
I promise that I'm all right. She barely scratched me.
But she...
Loves her mistress very much, just like I do. She couldn't help it. I did try to surprise you, after all. She was startled and wanted to protect you, just like I would have.
Diana grumbled, pressing her lips into a fine line as she stared down at his chest.
She still attacked you.
Which I'm sure she's very sorry for. Let it go.
Seto moved his hand to cup Diana's cheek, rubbing his thumb along her cheekbone. Diana closed her eyes, but didn't lean into his hand.
You know, you didn't yell at me for saying your name.
My priority was not correcting you.
You were concerned about me.
Yes, I was. Why wouldn't I be?
Seto frowned a bit as Diana opened her eyes and looked up at him, trying to appear unfazed at his teasing. However, the blush that still radiated from her face didn't lie.
Why are you concerned about me, Zaire? You've protected me my whole life when it's my job to protect you. You didn't correct me again.
Silence followed as Seto waited for her to answer. I was curious myself, especially since she seemed to not reciprocate Seto's feelings. Diana closed her eyes and took a small breath before finally replying.
I care about you, Seto. You've been by my side ever since we were mere children. Every time you've gotten hurt, I
watched in awe as Diana brought her hand up and ran her fingers along the scar on his chest between the lapels of his jacket. Seto stared as Diana traced around it, her face painted in sadness.
I know you vowed to protect me with your life, but that doesn't mean you must accept every wound on your body as insignificant.
Diana closed her eyes, forming a fist against Seto's chest and clenching it hard. The scar must have had some significance to make her that upset. I bit my lower lip. I was watching this unfold, unsure of what to do. Should I leave them? I bit my lower lip. I was watching this unfold, unsure of what to do. Should I leave them be? Should I interrupt? I did have to train. Let them finish. I didn't want to be rude. Whatever they had to settle, I needed to be patient. I stuck close to the wall behind me and listened further, peeking to barely see what was going on.
It still bothers me. I thought I was going to lose you that day.
But you stepped in.
I did. That was the day before you signed your life away to me. A stupid decision.
I stared wide-eyed as Seto cupped Diana's cheek and forced her to look up at him, making her gasp and meet his gaze in surprise.
Stop. I won't let you think that my decision was a mistake.
Diana closed her eyes and leaned her cheek ever so slightly against Seto's hand, making him visibly inhale a breath of surprise.
I don't think I will ever understand you. Even after all of these years, I still don't understand your devotion.
Diana let out a small sigh before stepping away and looking up at Zero with a serious expression.
I should go. The boys will be waiting for me to train them, and your student will be here soon.
I've been here for a while now, but that's okay. Without letting Zero reply, Diana turned and walked towards the door. I stepped away from my hiding spot, not wanting Diana to know I was eavesdropping. As I came into her view, she froze for a second before continuing on out of the room and down the hall. Zero watched as she left, staring at the back of her head until it vanished beyond the doorframe. I looked over and finally walked towards Zero, not wanting to interrupt his gaze with my presence.
She really can't see it.
Zero. Zero finally turned and looked at me with eyes drowned in hopelessness. It was almost heartbreaking to see his face so heavy and downtrodden. He seemed to have completely confided in me with his new expression, because I was positive that this was an emotion he hid very well from most people. Most everyone. Zero finally looked to the ground.
My lady doesn't understand love. She's always been told that love for her is impossible because of who she is, no matter how much she dreams of it. Because of that, she can't recognize it, even when it's standing right in front of her.
Ugh. There has to be a way. It was a matter of circumstance. She needed to see his love for her. If she was bred to accept that love didn't exist, then we needed to prove that what she knew was wrong. Zero looked up at me in surprise, a small glimmer of hope rekindling at my words.
You really think that she...
I know she can. I mean, look at me. I'm going to be married to the man I love. Surely love exists, even for demons. I watched with a smile as I saw happiness slowly seep back into Zero's expression. He couldn't give up on her. He would be able to show her his love somehow. After a brief moment, Zero let out a sigh, closing his eyes. He turned to me, and when he opened his eyes, my relentless trainer had appeared with a serious look on his face. Without having anything to say to me, he stepped back and summoned his spear. That was a fast turnaround. He placed a foot behind him and prepped himself into a stance. Wait, wasn't he going to materialize my weapons? How was I? Zero suddenly charged at me, making me screech and dodge out of the way. What was he doing? Zero!
What are you waiting for? Summon your weapons!
What? He wasn't being serious, right? He expected me to use magic? That was impossible. As I managed to duck and dodge his attack, my fingertips began to tingle. Energy rushed through my veins and under my skin, tickling my nerves. It was unnatural, but somehow I felt comfortable with it. Was this truly magic at work, or was I just nervous, not wanting to be skewered? Try. I had to try. I jumped away from Zero and quickly closed my eyes, focusing on my hands. I needed my weapon. Within my hands formed a handle of lavender mist. It glistened before finally shifting and forming out into the sword I was used to. Gripping it and feeling it physically in my hand, I smirked and turned back to Zero, bracing for another attack. I jumped forward and swung my sword against his spear to push the blade away from me. With a loud clash, the spear was pushed to the side, leaving him open. Like a repeated memory, I attacked him, clashing my weapon with his multiple times. The chime of our weapons smashing against each other rang through the room, and the sound almost piercing my mind. It wasn't a noise I was ever going to be used to. Like the last time, we trained for hours on end, stopping once or twice for a break. However, I could feel my body slowly getting used to the feel of swinging a weapon and defending myself. At least I would be prepared in case something were to happen. As the sun began to set and the purple sky began to darken, we stopped once again for a third and most likely final break. Zero stretched and let out a small yawn as I did the same. I think I'm getting used to this. A chuckle escaped Zero's throat as he rose from one of his stretches. What stopped both of us from laughing was an echoed conversation in the hall, softly reverberating into the room. Huh?
Are you sure? Another kingdom wants to join the rebellion?
It would seem so. Diana isn't happy about it, though.
Why not? The leader of that kingdom is so handsome!
He was indeed, but an alliance through marriage?
Oh, come on! You can't tell me I'm the only one who can see it! I can see them being a beautiful king and queen!
I don't think she will marry him, despite it being a wise choice.
She would be stupid not to.
Well, the last time she signed her life away to marriage, her entire family was killed off while she was away. I don't think she could ever let marriage control her again.
I guess... Man, the only person she has now is that guard.
My curiosity took hold of me and caused me to hug the wall near the door, listening in further. Zero, however, remained where he was, looking toward the ground.
I wonder how they met. He's not an incubus, but he's mega powerful.
He is indeed very skilled. I'm slightly jealous of her for having such a devoted guard.
Devoted? He's crazy! I've heard them talk in private before. He keeps saying that he's in love with her. Love!
Well, that's right. Faye doesn't quite understand love. So it makes sense that Faye would react that way.
That is very odd. However, I wouldn't be surprised if her natural aura has affected him after years of servitude. I believe he's been with her since they were children, so that's over 100 years of protecting her and being close.
Yeah, he's probably just enthralled by her. She enthralls everyone she meets.
A pure-blooded succubus will do that. At least she's the only pure-blooded demon of Lilith in the world.
That we know of, at least.
The conversation trailed off as the pair moved away from the room, and I looked back at Zero, seeing him grip his spear and grit his teeth. He didn't seem to like what Rabbit and Faye had to say. Zero? Are you okay? Zero looked up at me, a dull glaze over his eyes. From the expression on his face, I could tell that he had heard things like that before, but it still seemed to affect him emotionally. I frowned and walked over to him as he shook his head.
What they said about her marriage was true. When the Demon Lord's heirs left the demon world, my lady left to go after them. However, while she was gone, the Demon Lord attacked this castle.
I watched as Zero gripped his spear even tighter than before, shutting his eyes and turning his head away from me almost in shame.
The Demon Lord's henchmen, the imp demons who brought you here, infiltrated our defenses and were able to reach the heart of the castle, where my lady's parents and unborn baby sister were hiding. Through some form of blood magic, they were able to break through the protective barriers around the room and...
He didn't need to explain. The heavy weight in my gut acknowledged what he was going to say before he could speak it. I looked to the floor, suddenly feeling very sorry for Diana. She lost her entire family, while she had been in the human world trying to save them. It was too cruel. I don't know if I cut you off, Zero. I was not paying attention. Zero let out a shaky sigh before he looked back up to me.
When my lady returned, she vowed to seek vengeance and destroy the Demon Lord's tyranny. She formed the rebellion, and now, here we are, readying ourselves for the final battle. Everyone only sees the hard-faced, cutthroat queen of the rebellion when they look at her, as if she were unable to love or care.
Zero's hand reached up for his collar, where a beautiful purple rose charm hung. His fingers ran over the surface as he smiled to himself.
However, Isaiah is still the sweet and innocent girl I grew up with. She's still the woman who saved me and protected me from a fate worse than death. I know deep down that the love I feel for her is pure and true. I vowed to protect her with my life, and I will forever stand by that promise. It's just difficult to hope that one day things may change, and that the one you love may turn around and say they love you in return.
Is there any way to prove your love for her? Zero didn't reply. He looked at me, deep in thought, before shaking his head. I thought I saw a glimmer of hope, but he rid himself of whatever thought he had been focusing on.
Never mind that. We need to focus. Let's continue.
I nodded, taking up my weapon again and preparing for our final sparring match.